What's up, CroatianSports.com nation? Ante here after a much more quiet week after Croatia was eliminated after that Italy 1-1 draw at the end of group stage. Here with my main guy from Montreal, Markus Lulic Deschanel, the pride of Montreal. What's going on, my man? How's it going since we last chatted after that Italy game?
I've had some time to grieve, so just looking forward to watching some stress free footy now.
It's it's
Yeah,
it's definitely more stress free, but it's I was through talking to you and Christian, like you guys haven't had any disasters in Croatian football since 2016, which is a long time ago. It's almost a decade ago.
yeah.
And like Christian was wrecked leaving my house after the game. So it's like is this the first disappointment you've had because you weren't around in 2008. You weren't around 98, 96 in those tournaments.
2008, I was too young. I do remember 2012 going out in that Spain loss. I was pretty upset, but I was like 8 at the time. So probably 2014 losing to Mexico was the first time I genuinely I have a recollection of like being very upset over like a disappointing loss, right?
But that the Mexico loss, like we had Brazil in our group. We weren't supposed to be Brazil. We beat Cameroon. That happened. We weren't on we weren't winning knockout round matches yet. So it was like, yeah, we should
Yeah,
be out of group stage, but we haven't. So when 2016 happened, we had that easy path, but got paired with Portugal.
yeah,
Um,
that was a bad one. That last minute goal too there.
yeah, just an extra time. But hey, that's I mean that's soccer for you. Like so much heartbreak. I feel it for all these fans, Like look at the Turkish goalie today. Makes a point blank stop to save their season. But welcome back,
Yeah.
Marcus. For all of you that don't know, Marcus is a permanent staff writer here at Croatian Sports. We're in a ton of articles. He's our AI XG. He's our guy. And I was talking to my brother earlier in the week and he's like, "Oh, Marcus uses Chat GPT for his articles." I'm like, "No, he doesn't, man. What do you have to say to all those guys thinking that you're using performance enhancing drugs on these articles?"
No PEDs in my blood. I'm nice and clean.
That's good, man. That's good. And so I wanted to kind of start this episode with the round of 16. Obviously, Croatia wasn't in the round of 16, but it's the what could have been. And the what could have
Yeah,
been is Modric scores that goal. Italy doesn't score. Modric puts us into the round of 16 against Switzerland. I think we're riding high. And then the way everything played out before the Swiss game would have kicked off, we would have learned that Modric goal would have knocked Italy out of Euro 2024. They would have knocked the reigning Euro champions out. And I think even though we kind of played like crap against Spain and definitely against Albania, we would have had a new confidence, a new momentum going into the Swiss game. We would have erased all the bad stuff in group play. How do you think we would have played the Swiss in the round of 16?
I definitely think we would have fared better against them. Italy just looked kind of dead. I think they sold their soul on that equalizer with Croatia. Like just tying that game took everything out of them, and they were flat against Switzerland. Switzerland honestly dumb like that. That looked like listen, if you weren't up to date with the Euro with footy these days, and you were to just watch that game, you would have thought that the knowing the big names, you would have thought
Yeah,
that game was the other way around, right?
yeah,
No, like it wasn't like a 2-0 win like Romania won 3-0 over Ukraine, but Ukraine looked better, more dominant. This wasn't it. Switzerland honestly looked bad. Italy only woke up when they were down two. They had a little bit of pressure, but that was mainly because Switzerland backed down.
but
They
I'm
looked bad,
shocked.
man.
I'm
They looked
shocked. I
bad.
watched I watched the full 90 minutes. That Italian squad looked like they were dead in the water. They were waiting to sip Aperol spritzes on the Amalfi Coast. Like I'm like, oh, these guys are done. These guys are absolutely have
Yeah,
no urgency, no nothing. They didn't have a game plan. And I'm going in my head, I'm going, oh, like these guys knocked us out of the tournament, even though we didn't lose to them, but these guys knocked us out. I'm like, how do you think we would have fared against the Swiss after all that momentum? And like I said, your captain, Luka Modric, 38 years old, game winner, oldest Euro scorer in history, knocks out the reigning Euro champions, Italy. I think we're flying high if Italy doesn't score against us in the last second. And I think it's a new tournament in the round of 16, and I think we play a lot better than we played against Spain or Albania, and I think we get a result against the Swiss, which would have lined up a game against who in the quarterfinals?
A rematch,
Good old
2018
England.
rematch.
And that's
Yeah,
and one Italy goal at the very
stopped
last
us from
second,
that.
and we'll never know now, and we'll never know how it could have ended.
I think that a Croatia Switzerland match would have been a much more 50-50 game. Um, I do think that listen, Croatia were masters of the draw in knockout rounds. Every single knockout game goes to extra time, and then we just squeeze through the victory. I think potentially a similar result would have happened. Listen, Croatia, this tournament, although there were many changes between the games, there was somewhat of a similar core. Is this the right core to have brought us to a final? Obviously not, since we crashed out of the group stage.
Sure.
But if we had gotten a little bit of luck on our side and moved on, I think just like the general team structure, unity, the fact that our team has some more chemistry and familiarity within itself than Italy's squad does. I think that could be a big factor because on paper, still, even despite all our flaws, we probably have a stronger team than Switzerland. But the unit they've built this tournament is better than ours. So I think that game ends like a 1-1. We go to extra time. Anything can happen. Penalties 50-50.
Shocking.
Coin
Shocking.
toss, you know? Yeah, not shocking at all, actually. Obviously, we're being sarcastic. But
Yes, yes.
I think we would have fared better against Switzerland. But I still do think that I wouldn't be super surprised if Switzerland would beat us in a match like that, to be honest, because they're looking good. We there's a reason we didn't advance the group stage, right?
Yep.
But of course it hurts because you see the path we could have had. And listen, if England hadn't equalized there, we could have potentially had Switzerland, Slovakia, and then who in the semifinals? Netherlands or Turkey? Listen, we beat Netherlands less than a year ago.
We'll
So
never know. But how one moment now I'm seeing in these tournaments, there are no more 3-0 games, 4-0 games, even though the Dutch beat Romania today 3-0. But all
yeah,
these games are razor thin and one goal, one offside, one toe. We'll talk about Denmark in a second. One toenail. Like, are you kidding me? We got to change the offside rule. But look, we'll never know. We'll never know. It's disappointing because I think Spain is the best team at this tournament. So it kind of
yeah,
sucks that we lost 3-0 to start our tournament that way when we should have scored 2, maybe 3 goals against them, which would have been the best result against them in the whole tournament so far. You don't know that now because you're out of the tournament. It was your first game. So it's like the schedule, we got messed up with the scheduling. It just, everything went our way. The fact, like, no one has scored against Spain yet in open play in 4 games. George scored on an own goal. I'm not counting that.
yeah,
But
yeah,
they've
yeah.
been they've been near perfect. They've been near perfect, and we should have scored. What was the XG on that game? 2.5.
Yeah, something around. We've still, other than the knockout games, strictly in group stage, Croatia generated the most expected goals in the whole tournament. So technically, we should have had the most goals, but doesn't always
Scoring.
work out that way.
You got
And
it.
listen, who's to say you put us in England's group instead of them? Who's to say we're not? You put England in our group instead of us. You think they're really making it? I think there's a chance to get grouped in there. You think they're beating Italy in open play? They probably listen. They're drawing Slovenia and Denmark and Slovakia because that went to extra time.
Kickball.
You
Kick's
think
a
they
great
would beat
coach.
Italy? They'd probably tie Italy. They'd probably either tie or narrowly beat Albania. And I don't think they beat Spain in that opening match. If Spain gives them the run they gave us, England would be out if they were in our shoes as well. So
I th-
sometimes you just have to
And
like
it's
think of
it's
things
it's a
that way,
great
right?
it's a great argument, Marcus. It's a great argument. My thing is I'm a little bored with this tournament. There's been a couple games here and there, but there's a lot of look at Portugal this week. 0-0 goes into penalties. France is barely skimming by Belgium 1-0. The two sexiest teams at this tournament that are going at at you on the wings, going at you offensively, Spain and Germany, they're playing the sexiest ball right now. England's boring. France is boring. Portugal's a little boring. I thought that the Turkey Austria game was fantastic today, but I want to talk
Turkey
about.
is not boring. Turkey is definitely not boring.
I mean, but look, when your center back scores 2 goals in a game, that's a little bit of luck there. There's a little bit
Yeah,
of, your CB shouldn't be scoring 2 goals a game, you know? Imagine that's us and Pongracic scores 2 goals against whoever in the winner. Like it just doesn't happen. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It doesn't happen. All right, we talked about we talked about Italy and Swiss. I mean, Italy didn't even show up. That's what kind of bums me out is what could have happened if Croatia was in there riding hot. Um, but we'll move to who Switzerland's going to play in their quarterfinal. England, Slovakia. Basically, Slovakia beat them 1-0 through 90 minutes. Bellingham with the injury time, what 95th minute equalizer with the scissor kick.
was the equivalent to what Italy did to us. It was pretty much the same timing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
England, not impressive. Not impressive.
nope.
Fans were frustrated. A lot of fans left the stadium early. Um, this is the thing. This is why before the tournament, I'm like, you have to figure out a way to score 2 goals a game. Because if you get scored on first, no matter if the team's better than you, equal than you, or not as good as you, they're putting 10 guys behind the ball. And I don't care if you have a Bellingham or a Saka or a Foden or a Kane. You can't break 10 guys behind a ball that want to put a wall up and are there to secure that 1-0 win. Like that's scary. That's scary.
Yeah. International tournaments is when you see these smaller countries just raise their level. It'll never be you very rarely see like a 4-0 thrashing. Like it's
It's
happens a
rare.
couple times a Euro at most. Because these teams though they know how to play. Obviously, they're still professional footballers, and they give it their all too. It's for your country. So you find them at their maximum level. Whereas England, like Southgate doesn't seem to be the most inspiring manager, to be honest. And he's really just, if you look at the lineup, it looks great on paper, but he's
Sure.
plugging and playing. He's taking your standard 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, whatever, and he's like, who's the best player in this position? Slot him in.
Yeah.
Best in this position, slot him in. And that's what he's doing along the lineup. And there's no synergy. Like Foden, Kane, there's nothing going on there.
They've
Foden does not look like the best Premier League player this tournament. Like he doesn't.
look, it's I've talked to a bunch of English dudes, the nice English blokes and the Scottish and the Irish, and they go, the problem with England is club before country. They all play for
Yeah.
Chelsea and Man City and Man United and Arsenal, and then you're like, oh, you guys are all worth this is a real number. The English transfer value is 1.3 billion euros on their team.
And
That's
Croatia's what, like 300 million, 400
300
million?
million, 300
They're
million.
like worth $1 billion more than us.
But guess what? Slovakia should have should have knocked them out of that tournament because they scored first. But it's like, what are you gonna do? But look, England, I think, only has in 90 minutes, I think they've only scored 3 goals. They scored one against Serbia. They drew,
Yeah.
and then they drew.
1-1 to Denmark,
They
right?
scored a goal there, and then it was scoreless against Slovenia.
And then they scored the one against Slovakia there. So that's three goals in 4 games. And
In
look
90
at the
minutes.
teams they're playing. They're playing in Denmark. That Denmark's always quality. But listen, they got last place in a World Cup group with Australia and Tunisia last World Cup.
Yeah.
So they're not the same Denmark as they were last Euro. You've got Slovenia in there. I don't think they're debutants, eh? No, they're not. They've been here before. But
Been a
it's the first time they make the Euro in a pretty long time. Like
long time. They might have made one before. I'd have to look.
yeah,
I'd have to.
I don't know when, but I know it's not their first time. And then you've got Serbia, which are serial group stage fourth place exiters. Like they can't make it out of a group if their life dependent on it. And that's a pretty easy group. And then you match up with who, Slovakia in the next round. And then
Yeah.
yeah, of course, like listen, Switzerland is looking great, and no disrespect to Switzerland, but when you look at the name and you think it's a quarterfinal and you're playing Switzerland, they've got. And if Turkey beats Netherlands, I think it can be argued that they have the easiest path to a final
Ever.
in Euro or World Cup history.
Ever.
I can't think of anything easier than that.
Ever. Yeah. To go through to meet Final Four, get out of group stage, Slovakia and the Swiss.
And
But
potentially Turkey.
but I'm not impressed by England, but they're not even my number one team that I'm not impressed with. Like I can have a raspberry ranking here and it's awful. Let's talk about tournament favorites. I know a lot of people have England as tournament favorites. So my tournament favorites were France. I thought Mbappe was going to show up with the new Real Madrid contract and everything. France barely get by Belgium, barely get on an own goal. So France is going to play Portugal this weekend, the Ronaldo versus Mbappe matchup. Check out this stat. This stat absolutely just makes my mind explode. France are in the quarterfinals of Euro. They have yet to score a goal from open play. They have one penalty kick and 2 own goals, and they're in the quarters. How do you figure?
Again, what's going on with that team? Like and for them, it's more of an anomaly because you've got a coach that's made it work for them before. You know, World Cup like champions and World Cup finalists, and you've got the same basic bones. Like you've got Conte with an amazing tournament. You've got Griezmann. You've got Mbappe. You've got Rabiot, who's always elevating his level for the French
Theo
national team
Hernandez is
compared to club.
crushing it back on that back line.
Yeah, you
Hernandez is
got
crushing
Saliba,
it.
one of
Yeah.
the best defenders in the world right now. You know what's going on that team? Why can't they score? It's the same bones as usual. That one I can't explain. I don't know what's going on. They just look dead and boring and
Like France quarterfinals, you would think they'd have 6 goals in this tournament so far. They have scored only 3 goals.
Mbappe has a penalty. That's it. That's the only goal Mbappe has scored.
They're saying he
Yeah.
can't see out of his mask.
Guardiola wore that mask at the World Cup, and he was the
Right.
best defender in
Maya
2022.
and Maya.
Meyer was on fire with that mask as well.
They have to get a
Fucking
Croatian
mask.
manufacturer. They got to get a Croatian manufacturer for that mask. Who's gonna do it for them? But look, seriously, they're in the quarterfinals. They've scored 3 goals, one from the penalty spot and 2 own goals.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. That's how razor thin these margins are at these tournaments. So they're my biggest disappointment here. That France, even though they're in the quarterfinals, they have done nothing, absolutely nothing to impress me. And look, and they're going to play Portugal. And Portugal, we all know it was against Slovenia. Poor Jan Oblak. I mean, the guy blocks Ronaldo's penalty. It goes to penalties. He got no love from his team in that penalty shootout. Let me tell you. But look, razor thin.
0 for 3.
Slovenia played kickball and almost took out Portugal. You have Ronaldo crying like a little baby out there. I was rooting for Slovenia, obviously, but what's your take on that game and what do you think of Portugal right now?
Again, so listen, I have a couple of Portuguese friends, and I asked one of them after the game, like, what his thoughts are, and we've got like two different sides of it, There's worry in that why can't we score an open play goal against Slovenia? Why can't we like Slovenia? You didn't even win in regular time. But listen, in groups they beat Turkey, they beat Czech, even though it was tough. They lost to Georgia with half their starting lineup in. Of course, that's still embarrassing, but they knew they were through. There wasn't much urgency in that
I don't,
game.
I don't count that game.
I'll put that aside. This game, though, is a little bit worrying. To be honest, if I was Portuguese, I'd be worried. The fact that they're not too worried and they're just happy to have won is a little bit of a strange like outlook on the situation for me. They again didn't look that inspiring. I mean, Leao is at this point, can you really call him anything other than a speed merchant? Like he hasn't really. He's pacing guys, but he's not creating anything. He's not scoring. I think he did create one of the goals they scored this tournament. Sorry, but I don't even know if he got an assist on it.
I mean, I
And
love
Ronaldo,
I
like
love
they don't
Leao.
have.
I
Yeah,
love Leao against us. I'm like, oh, we're not
he
going to
looked
be able to
great.
stop him. Stanisic or Juranovic, whoever you put over there. I'm like, oh, this guy's
But
going to have a
did he
good tournament.
produce anything against us? He was running, but
Dude, you're right. He's a speed merchant.
yeah, a
He
little bit.
covered his in his long.
Unfortunately,
He plays.
I think yeah, yeah. But and then Ronaldo, he's getting older. He can't run. You see him. He's walking around the field the whole time, and he's waiting for his chance to pounce. And you want to hear another crazy stat? Ronaldo has the most shots on goal in the tournament out of anyone that hasn't scored. Or I think he has the most in total and still hasn't scored. He's taken 20 shots this tournament. 20
Really?
shot attempt, like whether they get blocked or miss the net, but he has taken 20 shots and still hasn't scored. The next highest is 11, which is Lukaku, and he also hasn't scored. So yeah, that's telling there. Honestly, not that they have better options on the bench, and I still think he is their best like true striker. Gonzalo Ramos isn't really like a true striker. He's a different profile. So next game, would I still start Ronaldo if I was the Portuguese coach? I think I would. It's going to go in eventually.
Super sub.
Unfortunately, he missed the pen, but
Super sub it.
yeah, who I don't know, and who knows how much pull he has in the locker room too. Is he just going to be content being a super sub? Like you never really know what's going on behind the scenes. But I don't know.
Um,
And another crazy stat for you: Ronaldo hasn't missed a penalty since 2022,
wow.
and Oblak hasn't saved a penalty since 2022.
There you go. Something has
There
to
you
be
go.
there. Something has to
Yeah,
be. Look, I'm not big on Portugal. I'm okay that they sat their guys against Georgia, but this is what I'm talking about. These teams, when you know that you don't have the offensive fortitude as a Portugal or an England or whatnot, you can put 10 guys behind the ball, play counter, and see what happens. See what
And
happens.
credit to Slovenia, they played them well. Who knows? Listen, we'll see Portugal, France. If Portugal able to break down France and get a convincing victory, I think I'll believe in them a little bit more again. But it's hard to tell if this was more of a disappointing Portugal performance or just a fantastic Slovenia performance. Maybe Slovenia has just been playing out of their minds this whole tournament, and they have been. They've been tactically sound, but it's hard to tell which one's which. You know?
Yeah. This is the thing. As long as you go through and you get the result, it doesn't matter if you play good or play like garbage. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
it's
You
true.
know, we don't talk about 2018 and talk about the Denmark game. We don't talk about the Russia game. Yeah, we talk about the England and France game because those are worldlies, but we don't talk. You only talk about the bad stuff and
Or
and
the very good stuff. The
or the
the
very
stuff
good.
where the games you just slip by, you won it. So
You
on
just move
paper it
on.
looks good.
You just move on.
Yeah,
But moving up in the other quarter here. Let's talk Germany, Denmark. Germany's my 1 out of 2 teams that I'm actually impressed with this tournament. Unfortunately, they're running into a brick wall right now into Spain. But look,
yep.
Germany, they beat the Danes 2-0, but I don't know, but this offside
By
bars.
a toenail. They honestly, that game could have easily, a couple of different calls. That game could have easily went to Denmark, and all of a sudden, tournament favorites are out like that. Hosts and favorites, pretty much.
But I
Denmark held down, but yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, look, I like Germany. I thought Germany was going to be an above average Germany. I'm giving them an A- grade so far because it's not just results. I'm watching them play, and they're one of the 2 teams, Spain, that they're running at you. They have wingers. Musiala is playing fantastic this tournament, and it's like now I'm going back. I'm not going to bring Dalic into this or anything, but I think there's an element of like go out there, guys, play without fear. If we get scored on, don't worry about it. Go score a goal. There's too many teams in this tournament, and this is a conversation for another day, but Euro is a tougher tournament than the World Cup, and I'll debate anyone on that all day long. But it's these too many teams are playing chess out there. And it's just kind of like let's just move the ball around, we'll pick our spots, this and that. But I'm watching Brazil, I'm watching Argentina during Copa, I'm watching Germany and Spain. And you were right. You were right from the beginning. You go, Croatia's not gonna have any wingers this tournament. We're just putting Kramaric out there, you know. We're gonna put
Yeah,
Maya there. We're gonna put whatever. You need lightning speed down the wings to open up that space for our midfield, and those are the teams that are impressing me. So I like Germany, but what's been your take on Germany? That was the game after the lightning storm that stopped it for 20 minutes. I don't know if you saw that.
yeah, exactly. I didn't catch the entire game. I've watched most Germany games this Euro, but I saw parts of the game and I saw, of course, the call and all that. But listen, Germany looks impressive. They're great. They've got creators all over the field. They're fast. They've got like Kai Havertz. Yeah, he missed like fucking 3, 4 big chances that game, but he's still providing well in his role. Like he's not the best poacher finishing striker, but he's doing an excellent job of linking up and allowing the midfielders and the quote unquote inverted wingers like Verts and Musiala, not really wingers, but they're playing now there, like glide in. Verts didn't play. I think it was Sane actually, but whatever. Like in any case, like there's a good connection in that front three. There's a good connection with the midfield, and they just look good. And then they bring in Fulkrug for the last like 5 minutes. He bangs in a goal or two, and they're
Yeah,
good. They're all off to
yeah,
the next
yeah,
round. So
yeah.
yeah,
They're playing well. They're on home soil. They have the home schnitzel going right now. But what sucks for them is they got to run into Spain next. The
they
two
have a
best
Euro final in the quarterfinal.
the
So
Euro final in the quarterfinal. But look, Spain in my power ranking, Spain's 1, Germany's 2.
yeah,
Um, I don't even have a 3 right now. But Spain has been near perfect. They have yet to concede a goal to the opposition. They gave up one early to Georgia. It was an own goal. It happens. Outside of that, they've not conceded, and they're scoring goals left and right this tournament. They're playing with speed. They're playing with fire, and they have a chip on their shoulder. So that's why it goes back to me. Like Croatia started with Spain. Spain might win this whole thing. And then if you're Dalic and Modric in the gang, you're like, shit, we lost to a really good Spain team and it deflated us. But you don't know they're the best team in the beginning. You're going, we can beat this Spain team, but you don't know that for a month. So where do you rank? I mean, the thing with Spain is Georgia tried to bunker after they scored, and Spain went, screw you guys. Boom, goal, boom, goal, boom, goal. They
you
said, screw
can't,
you guys.
you can't, unless you have the type of team that's built for a bunker. Like the only reason Italy held out 1-0 is because of their goalie, and they have two very strong center backs, and that's the perfect recipe for a bunker game, and that was Spain's toughest game,
Yeah.
even though they completely dominated that game. Georgia can try the same thing, but they don't have the same quality. And Georgia got an early goal, and that made me curious. That made me tune in because I wasn't watching until Georgia scored, and then I
Yeah.
started watching. And I was interested to see, all right, let's see how Spain reacts because they haven't faced any opposition this tournament. They've glided through 0 goals against. They've won every game and dominated each one. And I was like, all right, let's see. Georgia's counter is good. They're quick. They're dangerous when they get the ball once every 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Let's see how Spain reacts. And they react. Oh, they pumped them 4-1. Like it was, they said, whatever. All right, we're fine. They're confident. They're looking good. And like I said early in the tournament, well, my biggest worry against Spain before facing them was their wingers. I said it's not the midfield anymore. Spain has changed their game. We're the midfield right now. I knew we were going to defeat Spain in the midfield, but it was the wings that worried me, and that's why we lost. And Spain's proving that against everyone else. That youth right now, Germany, Spain, their youth looks good, and that's what's going to win this tournament. I think the winner of this game. How can you go through such a tough side of the bracket, defeat the top two team in the tournament, and make it to the final against whoever you meet on the other side and not win? I think the winner's in this game right here.
Well, I'm just wondering. I think France takes Portugal. We'll go to our predictions right now in a second, but imagine to get to a Euro final, you have to either go through the host Germany and then France. That's tough. That's a tough road. There might not be a tougher road in Euro history to get to the final, not win the whole thing to get to the
Yeah,
final. Look,
Germany's road's probably the toughest because they face Denmark, pretty strong team, like a
then
quarterfinal level
Spain
team,
and then
round of
France
16.
maybe.
Then Spain, France, and then England or Netherlands.
Yeah, and
Most likely, most
England
likely.
has Slovakia and the Swiss and maybe like a Turkey or something like Turkey or Dutch or something like that. But
Yeah,
on
yeah,
that note, I mean the Dutch looked in control against Romania. I expected them to win today. I didn't expect them to win 3-0. They kind of scored a garbage time goal when it was 2-0.
yeah,
I always root the Dutch. They're always kind of my unofficial team outside of Croatia. When Croatia gets knocked out, I like the Dutch. I think they're warming up a little bit. But you know what? I didn't rate Romania too much, but they're gonna play Turkey, who had the best game of the quarterfinal. That was an exciting game against Austria today. And I think you had Austria in your pre-tournament quarterfinals, is that
yeah.
right?
And when I saw Turkey, I was like, Austria, they're doing fine. Turkey is like the most chaotic team in this tournament. Like they'll I know they didn't, but I'm just giving this as an example. They'll lose like 3-0 to Georgia because Georgia
Yeah,
could have easily made that like a 3-3
yeah.
game or won that. And then they'll go and they beat France. Like they're so balls to the wall, high energy play, like all over the place, and sometimes it works. And I think it was just too much for Austria today, even though Austria completely like had
No,
control of
but
that game and just couldn't finish it.
you give up a
But
goal
it's
in the first 30 seconds where you're
yeah,
I know it was a bang play, but their goalie just panicked. He could have picked it up. He panicked and just batted it right to Demiral. But you have your CB scoring 2 goals in a knockout round match. That doesn't happen. That's Lydian Thuram 98 France against us. Like that doesn't happen. And then it
yep.
happened. That's a little bit of
I
the
think yeah, that's because Turkey. If we think back to the last like 3 tournaments, they've always been hailed dark horse, and then they flop in the group. Since 2008, they haven't had a good performance. Like, let's be honest, they've always flopped. Always Turkey dark horse flop. I think all that bad luck has just accumulated, and now they're finally getting like rewarded with some decent luck, pretty much. Because to be honest, that Austria side was way better than them. Like
yeah.
this Austria side, they beat Netherlands. So next round they could have beat Netherlands. I think this Austria side would beat England, and they could have made it to the final. Could have seen Austria in the final.
But
Nope,
that's
they
what's
just couldn't
cruel.
get past the
Inside the first
chaos.
minute, you come out of the locker room, you do your national anthem, you're pumped up, and then you give up a goal like that, and it's a little deflating. You have to start changing your whole strategy.
And you don't have a Mandzukic to score 4 minutes later. So
Yeah. Den Shout out to Denmark. Shout out to Denmark. All right, so the quarterfinals are set. I'm looking at my map right now. Before we go to the quarterfinal predictions and we'll get out of here, we're doing a short one today. Out of the teams that have made the quarterfinals, who's your biggest flop so far?
England,
You going England? I'm going France.
yeah, I think they're pretty interchangeable.
Really?
But yeah, I'll stick England because of they've had an easier path. Like France, it's crazy. They're also very disappointing right now. But they faced Netherlands. They faced a very strong Austria. Um, Poland was a little rigid, and then they faced who Belgium. That's not a walk in the park, you know. I just think because of how easy England's path was, like
Okay.
they're my disappointment for sure.
But I just got to say, with France being France, they've scored 3 goals as a team, and none have been from open play.
Yeah,
That's gonna catch up to you if Portugal scores in their quarterfinal. We'll see what happens, but um, I think this one's obvious. But who's your biggest surprise of the tournament so far?
if we went like surprise, I guess I'm surprised Turkey's here right now. But if I went more of like a dark horse route, I think Switzerland. Because, anyways, we'll get to the predictions. But right now, the way I'm seeing the play, Switzerland's play is more consistent. I would bet on them rather than a Turkey because Turkey is just you don't know what you're gonna get. Switzerland has been playing some consistently good
Yeah,
soccer this tournament, and they've been yeah.
yeah.
That's what would you go with?
I think the Swiss are perfectly flying under the radar.
Yeah.
Th- they're so Swiss right now that I'm being neutral about the Swiss right now. I just you know what I mean? They're they've done their job so far.
Bro,
They've done
they'll
their job.
whatever their way to a final.
Look, we're gonna find out this weekend. They get to play big 1.3 billion euro England and see what happens. But look,
Yeah.
before the tournament, I gave all these stats to the boys. There was only 6 European teams that made every knockout stage since Euro 2016 and World Cup, and it was Croatia, Portugal, Spain, England,
France,
France, and Switzerland.
Switzerland.
And guess what? All 5 of those made it. We're the ones that broke the streak. This one, like no Italy was on that list, no Germany was on that list, no Dutch, no Belgium was on that list. So
Yeah.
Switzerland's been consistent since 2016. There's something to be said for that. They knocked out France last Euro in penalty kicks in the round of 16. So I just feel they don't have that that one guy, that one playmaker that can just take over a game in England. Look at Bellingham. Bellingham freaking got lucky. He pulled a Real Madrid Champions League out of his pocket, bicycle kick last second. England's through.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, let's go predictions. Let's go predict. This is my favorite. This is my favorite part about this job. All right, let's start light and we'll build our way up. England, Switzerland. How does it end?
I'm gonna go I'll go 2-1 Switzerland. I
Okay,
think they take it.
I'm going 1-1. Goes into extra time. I'm going. It goes to penalties. Swiss win in penalties.
Yeah, so we're both going Swiss.
I think Swiss. I think England's coming off a high, but
To be
like
honest, Switzerland's the toughest team they've faced so far this tournament.
yeah, Slovakia, Serbia, Slovenia,
Denmark.
and Denmark. You're right. They're all just kind of pick and choose, plug and play in England. But there is a cohesion element to a team, and like I think when you just kind of like love each other and have respect for each other, and you play hockey. When you get decked and then one of your teammates comes by and checks that guy into the boards, you're feeling good, man. You feel supported. I just club before country for England, but
Yeah, and it's a huge element to sports, and I think Switzerland just like England haven't faced like a cohesive like possession, um, like a team with a strategy and a goal. Like you could say Denmark is maybe the closest to that, but I do think Denmark is not the same Denmark as we've seen in past years.
yeah,
Other than them, they haven't faced a team that hasn't been like, let's bunker down and pray for a win here. You know,
yeah.
this is the first team that's going to come at them.
I think I think the Swiss are just organized. I think the Swiss are
Yeah,
organized. I'm going Swiss and penalty kicks. They broke French
yeah,
hearts 4 years ago. They're gonna bring English hearts this year. All right. The Dutch. I love the Dutch. I love the Dutch. They're playing Turkey. How does
yeah.
that game finish?
Well, I think we Turkey is the type of team, like I said, like hot and cold, kind of they smash or get smashed. So I think the only like strong big name team they faced so far this tournament is Portugal, and they got slammed. I think a similar thing's going to happen. I think everyone's going to be, oh, Turkey dark horse. People are going to get their stocks in, but they beat a strong Austrian side. Now they're going to go. I don't even think that Netherlands are necessarily going to play well, but I think they win 2-0. I think Turkey, like quarterfinal is great for them. They'll take it, but they'll still flop in a sense.
You
I
think
don't
so?
think they got it in them.
Good. Are the Gurlers playing good, man? He's. I know he's still
I love
young.
the kid. Yeah,
He's playing well. The Dutch are one of those floppers too. They get to the quarterfinals and they just kind of go like,
that's true.
They are like perennial quarterfinalists. They went out of the quarterfinals to Argentina in that yellow card match. But um, I got the Dutch in this one. I got the Dutch. I got the Dutch 2-0 in this one. 2-0.
Yeah, like me. Yeah, I
2-0.
agree.
I'm gonna go Dutch with this. I think the Turkey's gonna just be too emotional in this game, and you're right. They're just it's basically quarterfinals flopper versus flopper here. So someone has to go through. But I got the Dutch. Portugal, France, Mbappe versus Ronaldo. Both teams have just not been that impressive for me. Who you got?
I could listen. I'm taking. I don't know if this is really how I feel because I think how I the highest percentage chance that this game plays out is a very low score, like a 1-0 or 1-1, because of the way these two teams have been playing. I'm gonna go a little more interesting though, my prediction, because I have a bit of a feeling this game, the two teams will open up. I can feel two early goals, and then it's gonna be open
Wild
play
Wild
from there.
West.
I'll go 2-2, and Ronaldo nets his first of the tournament in extra time, and Portugal goes through. I think France has been I think France's weaknesses have been stronger than Portugal's, and they'll get it done. I think Slovenia was better than Portugal was bad in that game, and
Okay.
they'll beat France 3-2 extra time.
I think this is going to be the high scoring game of the quarterfinals. There's always
Yeah.
one scoring
Okay.
game. It was Spain in the last one. Um, I think someone opens up early in the first 20 minutes of the game, and then all defense goes aside. I think this is going to be a high yellow card, high scoring game, maybe even a red card. It goes into extra time. Ronaldo does not score, so Modric remains the oldest scorer in Euro history. Don't forget
I
about
would
that.
like that.
Don't
Yeah, I
forget
would
about
like
that.
that's
You're
true. Now I kind of want to take my prediction, but I'll keep it. I'll keep it. I'm not gonna be like that.
um Mbappe's got to wake up one of these games. This has to be the
Yeah.
game. This has to be the game. Mask or no mask or whatever. Ronaldo's old. He doesn't. I don't think he 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 gets the same respect that he did 10 years ago on this Portugal side. Um, France go through 3-2 in 90 minutes.
In 90.
Take the over, everybody. Take the over, Vegas. Take the
Oh, so we
over.
both went 3-2. We both think it's gonna be lots of goals.
I do. I think the both sides have to open up. I don't see a 1-0 game here. I don't think they're gonna play that tight. I think you
Yeah,
gotta
because
go.
I think I can feel an early goal, so I think that'll just open the game up. To be honest.
Yeah, I mean that could almost be on this side of the draw. It's almost two potential Euro finals. Like
Yeah.
you literally have France and Portugal, and then you have Germany, Spain. Only one of those teams can make the final, and then you got the Dutch, Turkey, and England, Swiss. Like how these draws work, it's just cruel. But
Yeah.
England gets the easy side of the draw again. England had the easy draw with Croatia in 2018. England basically played a home tournament during Euro 2020. They had every match at Wembley except for one. I think they had to play Ukraine in Rome in the round of 16, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of things have gone England's way to get to all these points of a semi World Cup semifinal, a Euro final. Swiss are going to win that game.
Yeah.
Swiss are going to win that
I
game.
can see it.
And then the obvious game of all games is quarterfinal. Spain versus Germany in Germany. What do you think?
I have no idea, man. You know what? I it's so hard to get to bet against Spain right now, but I just think Germany and a little bit about said Netherlands are your team after Croatia. Me, it's usually Germany if they do make it past us. Recently they haven't, but whatever. Um, I'm gonna say Germany. I think this is gonna be a tight game though. I think there's gonna be a lot of offense here on display, but they both got solid defenses too. So I'll say 1-1. We go into extra time. I think Germany scores early. Spain opens up, tries to get another. They'll be close, but because of that open play, Germany will just hit them with another 3-1 Germany extra time. I think they'll be
We
two in
won
extra
extra
time.
time. Oh,
Yeah, They'll get an early one and a late one. So Germany 3-1 extra time.
I'm gonna give you my logic on this. I agree and disagree with you at the same time.
Okay.
Spain's number one on my power rankings right now, with Germany
Me
right
too.
behind them. Okay. But the only thing Spain hasn't had, they haven't really been hit in the face yet. They've been perfect ball. They played perfect ball. And although Georgia did score first off an own goal, I don't rank Georgia in a top 20 footballing nation on planet Earth. I think if Germany scores first, Spain is gonna feel like they got Ivan Drago to Rocky's face. I think the crowd's gonna be into it in Germany, home crowd, and I think they won't be able to recover from that. And with that, we talked about this before before the tournament. Yeah, Spain has some great wingers, Nico Williams and Yamal, but they haven't been in this situation in a quarterfinal for your country yet. And I think that's where maturity is going to come into play. And I think Spain gets knocked in the mouth pretty quick, and it's going to take time for them to recover.
So what's your score prediction?
2-0 Germany.
Really? Wow.
I
So we're
think
both
Germany.
going by 2 goals to Germany.
I think it's kind of like the Dutch. These tournaments. These tournaments. Once you get late in the second half, look at Austria today. Turkey could have scored 3-1, and you're looking at the scoreline going, oh, it's 3-1, but it's a tight game. It's just
Yeah. Yeah.
Austria has to open up. They're bringing their goalie up for God's sakes. Like same thing happened with the Dutch. So it's almost like in the last 15 minutes of the second half, floodgates can open. It doesn't really tell the story of the scoreline. But once you have to open up, and you have teams like a Germany and you have teams like a France and Portugal with Leao, you can get hit on the counter pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's why I went with the third goal there, late in extra time. They'll
Shit.
just finish it off.
I wasn't planning on agreeing with you, but Jesus Christ, there you go.
So yeah, well, we disagreed on the France Portugal. That's the only, everything else we're on the same page.
Yeah, I think I like the Swiss, I like the Dutch, I like Germany, and I like France in that game. So that would if those go through for me, it's Germany France semifinal, Dutch Swiss semifinal. And
Yeah,
then I like whoever wins the Germany France game. But
yeah,
that's
me too.
that's for another show. That's for another
Yeah,
show. But all right, the only thing I'm bummed about, we'll never know if Italy missed that equalizer at the end. We would have played the Swiss. We'll never know. No, we'll never know.
yeah.
But
Where would we be now?
I think we would have been flying high into the Swiss game. I know we're ranking the Swiss high, but we'll never know. But all right, we'll see. Marcus, I'll see you after the quarterfinals. Always a pleasure having you on, and let's see what gets cooking at Euro 2024. But Dalic is staying, which I can only assume that Modric is staying, but more on that after the tournament.